Good morning, friends and family. Hey, I want to give a shout out to my boys Lincoln and Isaiah for waking up most every morning to do man time with me, where we look at the next chapter in Matthew together, watch the video, pray together, and then do some physical exercise as well. So, good job, boys. Keep up the good work with me. Hey, let's jump right into Matthew chapter 13. So, the chapter prior to this was Jesus essentially having these confrontations with the Pharisees, those that were antagonistic towards him and the gospel. Next, we see Jesus essentially teaching his children in the form of parables. And if you remember, Jesus had said, "Hey, these are my mother, my brothers, and my sisters, those who are doing the will of my Father in heaven." And so now he's wanting to teach those that are essentially his mother, brothers, and sisters. And he's doing so in a way to where they will be able to grasp onto it. And anybody else who humbles themselves and is willing to see him as the Son of Man, as he calls himself, the Messiah, that they'll then be able to see the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of God that he's describing. For everybody else who rejects him, who rejects the truth, it's being veiled further from them by him using parables. And that's essentially what he says and why he uses parables. I want to read this to you from the John MacArthur commentary from the Study Bible. By the way, if you don't have a good study Bible, I recommend to you the John MacArthur Study Bible. It comes in various translations. I've got the NIV here, but it's very, very good in terms of helping you understand the context and just what is going on in places that are confusing. It says, "Before this point in his ministry, Jesus had employed many graphic analogies, but their meaning was fairly clear in the context of his teaching. Parables required more explanation. Jesus employed them to obscure the truth from unbelievers while making it clearer to his disciples. For the remainder of his Galilean ministry, he did not speak to the multitudes except in parables. Jesus is veiling the truth from unbelievers. Jesus is veiling the truth from unbelievers. This way was both an act of judgment and an act of mercy. It was judgment because it kept them in the darkness they loved, but it was mercy because they had already rejected the light. So any exposure to truth would have only increased their condemnation. In other words, it would have increased their accountability, which would have then meant they would have had to account for the truth that they did not heed to." I also think that it would make you think that, for the person who is his child, these parables are going to really make you think. They're going to force you to invest some time into thinking about what is going on there. And I think that it's very good that we would invest our time and be dependent also upon the Lord for understanding and saying, "God, give me wisdom, help me to understand what is fully being said here." And I just love too the fact that it's pictures. It's helping the invisible kingdom of God become visible, with these various pictures that Jesus uses. It allows us, his followers, to visualize. And so 7 parables happen here in Matthew chapter 13. There's 39 parables that in all of the Gospels, total, 39 different parables. And there's 4 listed in Mark chapter 4. There's 3 listed in Luke chapter 13. And there are 7 here in this chapter. And nowhere else is there more than 3 or 4, like I just mentioned. So this is the chapter to come to when it comes to the parables. And these parables are all about the kingdom of God and helping to bring clarity, to bring visibility to the kingdom of God, because it is this invisible kingdom. And so, yeah, I just think that it's so good, so helpful. And I wanted to mention that I love the 2 little parables, verse 44 and verse 45. "The kingdom of heaven is like treasure hidden in a field. When a man found it, he hid it again, and then in his joy went and sold all he had and bought that field." In other words, it's the most valuable thing, so I'm going to trade everything I got and go and purchase that and give my life to that because it is so valuable. So valuable, like verse 45, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant looking for fine pearls. When he found one of great value, he went away and sold everything he had and bought it. That's what the kingdom of heaven is like. You know, we have to recognize it is worth more than anything, and we would be wise to give up everything in order to have it. And in a way we do. In a way we are called to give up everything, to bow our knee, to trade our lives for Christ's life, to die with him and be buried with him, but then to rise again into new life, into resurrection life. And that is a wonderful and beautiful thing. I also wanted to mention that my wife is in this last parable, and it says, once again, the kingdom of heaven is like a net. I'm blown away by my wife all the time, and now I see why, because the kingdom of heaven is like her. The kingdom of heaven is like a net. All right, well, it goes on to say is like a net that was let down into the lake and caught all kinds of fish. And so there it's talking about how the fish will be separated, just like the wheat from the weeds, the wheat from the tares. That though at the end when we are all judged, we'll be separated, sheep from goats, and hopefully we'll be among the sheep. And I just wanted to mention in regard to that last section about Jesus saying, a prophet is without honor. Is without honor in his hometown. It's got me thinking at different times about sometimes when I felt lack of love, lack of respect in my various family situations. And I wanted to ask you, do you hold back when you felt unloved? Do you hold back pridefully in your family systems? Or do you love and serve all the more and desire to just let go of your pride, let go of your ego? That's something I've been learning a lot more recently and trying to do a better job of. And I hope you'll join me in that. God bless you.